Loving you is easy 'cause you're beautiful. Making love with you is all I wanna do. Loving you is more than just a dream come true. And everything that I do is out of loving you. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Do 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 do. Hello, hi, welcome. The show's name is Politics, although I call it Politricks, and the title of this episode is, well, what is it called? If you had to ask the average man on the street, I think they'd say it's Furiosa, but it's actually pronounced Furiosa, which is an A1 joke if you grew up with the Harry Potter movies. There's a spell called Wingardium Leviosa, and Hermione corrects everyone and says it's Leviosa. So yeah, if this were maybe, I don't know, 7 years ago, this would have killed, but people have kind of moved past the Harry Potter movies quite long ago, and because J.K. Rowling is a wild transphobe, people don't want to be associated with it anymore, and neither do I. I was making a joke. Sorry if comedy is dead. Anyway, also I just want to go back to the song. This is apparently a song that Minnie Riperton used to sing to her daughter, which her daughter is Maya Rudolph, the famous comedian from Saturday Night Live, and I think she's more famous from The Good Place. She plays, I think, a judge or something on The Good Place, but never mind. The second line of the song is "making love with you," and I'm like, why would you sing that to your baby daughter? That's kind of fucked. But yes, I definitely don't remember that line being in the song. The only thing I remember is loving you is easy 'cause you're beautiful, and everything that I do is out of loving you. And then da na 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 da na na na. Like I forget about all the other lyrics, and I'm reading the lyrics as I'm preparing this document, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on in the Riperton household? Why would you sing this to a child? But nevertheless, as you can tell, I'm alone this week. Unfortunately, my brother, this was supposed to be his first episode, and yeah, he was not injured. He's sick. The weather right now is extremely inclement, so yeah, he just got sick. My mother, like, I was trying to force him to record anyway, and my mother kicked me out of the house. She told me to go back home to my house, and yeah, so I thought either I can postpone for like a day and see how he's feeling tomorrow, or better idea, just record it myself, because fuck him, right? um Anyway, I was gonna, you know, baptize him with fire. I was gonna ask him, like, he, okay, he's not a Zionist, but in the past couple of weeks, I've just been chatting with him, and he just outright says blatant Israeli propaganda. He's like, oh, Hamas are using people as, what is it called, like human shields, and Israel, they're right to bomb civilians because that's the only way to get the Hamas members. If you anyway, it's almost certainly he's going to come here next week and deny that, but that's what he believes. I'm going to try catch him next week. We'll see. Yeah, all right, so let's get into the show. So I'm gonna do some cleanup from last week. I was quoting Dune 2, and I said, "The voice of God be my witness," which is not true at all, because how can a voice be a witness? The real line is, the hand of God be my witness. I am the voice from the outer world. And voice from the outer world is obviously the English translation of Lisan al Gaib. So, yes, my mistake. The second thing I made a mistake about was I was speaking about the music in Challenges, and I said it was done by Trent Reznor and Atticus Finch. I meant to say Atticus Ross. Atticus Finch is the lawyer from To Kill a Mockingbird. He's the Gregory Peck's character, if you've ever seen the movie. Well, if you've seen the movie, why would you need me to explain it to you? If you've never seen the movie and you've seen a picture of Gregory Peck in black and white looking like he's about to tear down the judicial system, that's probably Atticus Finch. Yeah. Anyway, so let's get into the news for the week. This, I just don't want to. It's just too horrific, you know. It's there's a genocide happening right in front of our eyes, right? And nobody's saying anything, nobody's doing anything, and it feels like it kind of feels like you're going fucking crazy reading headlines where like the most demented things are happening, and nobody in power is like, oh, this is a fucking horrific thing, we need to stop it immediately. But anyway, so this week the Israeli military rescued 4 hostages in a special operation in Nusrat refugee camp, central Gaza, that Gazan authorities said killed 236 people, including civilians, and injured more than 400 others. So again, there's no commentary that I can give on this. There's no analysis that that's just it on its face. They value the lives of 4 people more so than over 600 people that were between being killed and injured. So again, it makes you feel like you're going fucking crazy, like this isn't even reality, like we're just murdering civilians, just straight up. And obviously their big brother, the America, does the same thing, and they're the only two countries that can get away with doing shit like this, because who's gonna hold them accountable? It's the US who allegedly holds everyone else accountable around the world, but for some reason, Israel committing mass murder, that's not worth I don't know, at least reeling them in or something. I don't know what the fuck. Anyway, the next news story, and I'm really trying to pad out here so that we get to that full hour. I'm looking at the time now. It's already 8. It's only 8 minutes. How am I going to stretch this out to, a full 60? Let's see. Let's find out. Okay, election watch. I was also going to ask my brother who he voted for, but I'm pretty sure he didn't vote. Nevertheless, if he did vote, I would 100%. I would bet money. Not a lot of money, but good money, that he would probably vote for the DA. So that's another thing. We'll ask him next week. We'll see what the vibes are, or what he's saying. But for this week, so last week I gave out a bunch of possible outcomes for the election, and instead, the idea being put forward is none of the things that I said. It's something called a government of national unity, which means instead of forming a coalition to have a majority so that you can push forward, a bunch of what's it called, legislature. If I want my legislature passed, I want to have my party and whoever I'm in a coalition with to be the majority. But apparently there's this another form of government called the government of national unity, which instead of forming that coalition, they just govern, as is. What is it called? As the parliament as it is. And seems very don't know, bad if you want to pass legislation, which I don't know if the ANC wants to do. Um, but I'm actually kind of shocked about this because I've never heard of a government of national unity before. You know, sorry to pull back the curtain on me and my dumbassery, but just the idea of this. I'm reading about it. I'm reading the positives, and the positive is allegedly that you're not beholden to the one party you're in a coalition with, because that's what I was speaking about last week. I said that the coalition partner for the ANC is going to have an outsized amount of power because of the coalition, and it seems like the ANC don't want to do that at all. They don't want to give that power to another party. They would much rather just, do this government of national unity and then hope and pray, just hope and pray that their particular legislation gets voted through. Again, just hope, which I'm not inside Parliament. I don't know the politicking the politicking that goes on there, where there's like 5 DA members who are willing to vote for an ANC platform. There's like 10 EFF members, whatever the case may be, and they may be able to pull this off. But from the outside looking in, it looks like a government that doesn't want to govern. It's more interested in playing politics than it is about actually committing to solutions, committing to backing themselves and thinking, hey, we the ones who are gonna get South Africa out of problems. Or well, to be clear, the ANC are the people who created so many of problems, but allegedly, not allegedly, theoretically, the people in power, you want to solve the issues, right? But nevertheless, let's carry on. Again, I don't have much commentary on this except for what I said. I think this is a bad idea. I think losing your majority and then not doing something to kind of make up for it by making a coalition is a bad move. But let's obviously see how it all plays out, and how things go. So then we get into the context of the movie, and this is the fifth Mad Max movie, but you don't need to have seen any of the other ones, as they all work alone, as they all work as standalone movies. Personally, I didn't watch them in the order that they came out in. The first Mad Max movie I watched was Fury Road in 2015. Then in like 2017, my friend, he smokes marijuana, and this was the first time he ever smoked indoor marijuana, and him and I were hanging out and we watched the first Mad Max together. And it's obviously not like these big explosions and like this, like, how can I say this, like big spectacle that it turned out to be. It's just kind of guys racing around in motorbikes, and even that, just racing around in motorbikes, you get locked in. And I thought the first Mad Max is it's not a masterpiece, but it's a very enjoyable movie that it's well worth your time to watch if you have the time to do so. Yes, so I'm a big fan of the first Mad Max, which a lot of people point out is not what we associate with Mad Max. We associate the wasteland and that kind of stuff, but the first Mad Max is just kind of Australia in the 70s, which is what a lot of people view that first Mad Max as. Then we get to the second one, which is what the general public associate with Mad Max, which is fighting over gas in a wasteland. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a huge fan of Mad Max 2. It's I don't know. I've only watched it once. I thought it was kind of boring. I'm definitely due for a rewatch because I'm told that the first Mad Max failed in America, and well, just it failed everywhere. But Mad Max 2 is what the majority of the public associate with, what I said about being Mad Max. But Mad Max 2 is the first Mad Max movie that the majority of people saw because of, again, the first one failing. Uh, so yes, I sorry, and because people, that's their introduction to the Mad Max world, they feel, Mad Max 2 is the best. Either they'll say like Fury Road is the best or Mad Max 2. So yeah, I just feel differently apparently. Then we get to Mad Max 3, which I love, which again, there's a very stark divide between me and the general consensus on this. I love the idea. So the movie is called Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, which you know, incredible title. Because when you hear it, you're like, what the fuck is Thunderdome? And then we're going beyond that. It's you know, you just don't know what you've signed up for. But when we get there and we find out what the Thunderdome is, I'm 100% in. This is the dopest shit. Um, you just kind of jump around on a bungee cord and like fight, and it's dope as shit. It's I don't know. You have to have a twisted mind to come up with the idea of a Thunderdome. Um, but yes, I use the word Thunderdome a lot. If there's something crazy going on, I'm like, wow, it's a bloody Mad Max situation there. If there's something even crazier than a crazy situation, I'm like, holy shit, it's Thunderdome. Which, that's the biggest contribution Mad Max has made to my life. Exclaiming, oh, this is Thunderdome. Oh, this is Mad Max. That's what I get out of this. Um, yes, then obviously Fury Road, which I said I watched in 2015. I initially didn't think much of it. Keep in mind, I was like a dipshit teenager who, didn't understand film. But like I watched it, I'm like, this is a great movie, but it's not like that. I think I gave it an 8, either an 8 or a 9. I can't remember right now. But, and you're thinking, oh, but an 8 is high. No, no, no. Mad Max Fury Road is one of the best action movies ever made. It's my number 2 movie of the 2010s. So, pretty good. And number 2 movie of the 2010s, there's a big gulf in opinion, to get there. And it took me quite a while before I rewatched it again and I was like, oh shit, this is that. This is the fucking juice, Um, yeah. So, let's say 2020, I'm a big Mad Max fan. I've rewatched Fury Road quite a few times, and yeah, I'm keen for a follow up. And George Miller, the director, he makes tw- uh, fuck 3,000 Years of Longing, which is a good movie. Um, Watch it if you can. I haven't gone through the director's entire filmography, but I can if you want. And seeing as how I'm padding out this episode, I think I should. But yes, George Miller was done on Blank Check, which is what made me go through his entire filmography. I was gonna watch the Mad Max movies anyway, but um, so I watched like Babe, which I think he's only a producer on Babe, and he's the director of Babe, Pig in the Big City, which I don't enjoy the Babe movies. I think that pig is disgusting. I don't find it endearing or cute or whatever. I just want to eat that fucking pig, you know. Um, every time I look at that movie, I think lunch. I don't think, oh, look at this pig having a good time. I'll fucking kill that pig myself and eat it. Yeah, I'll cook it, you know. Although I know nothing about the preparation of pig, before, it's store bought. But you get what I'm saying. You get the point I'm trying to make here. I do love the Happy Feet movies. They are, kind of charming, kind of fun. Um, that's really all I can say about it. Finding the music within you. That's a good idea. The thing that gives you passion, I should say. Um, then we're led to, there's a movie called Lorenzo's Oil, which is about this man who, like, he's a doctor trying to save his son. Or he wasn't even a doctor. I think he was maybe like an oil salesman, and that's why it's called Lorenzo's Oil. And then, fuck, I can't remember right now. I think maybe his son is ill and he gives the son oil, and then the oil saves him, or whatever the fuck. I thought it was a great movie, but apparently I don't remember anything from it right now. But I think I remember giving it an 8. Um, and that's, I think, it. I want to say The Witches of Eastwick, but I cannot recall, so let's just move on, right? Um, Now, one of the things that, like I said, I watched all the Mad Max movies. One of the things that I just don't kind of like is that we're very light on law, right? I love law, and by that, don't clip that and take it out of context. I'm not saying I love the law as in LAW. I'm saying law as in LORE, like folklore or Law of the Rings. No, okay. Um, yes, I'd just like to find out more about the universe, find out, like, oh, how are people living like this? It's very interesting to see. And yes, this is the most law heavy Mad Max movie that's ever been made. And I love it. Okay, spoiler alert before I give my review and stuff. This is my favorite movie of the year. I think it's better than June 2. So, you know, keep that in mind while I'm giving this review, because in the days since I've watched the movie, I've thought of, like, not necessarily criticisms, just things that I remember liking in the movie, but then after the fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't like, but I still believe it's better than June 2. Uh, yes. The last bit of context is I went to watch this movie with my brother. So, once again, I paid for that fucker's tickets to watch the movie. I bought him popcorn, whatever. And then he doesn't show up on the episode, Makes you think. Makes you think, listeners. Uh, I think illness is fake. I just don't. Everybody who's sick in the world, I think they're fucking faking, dude. And yeah, it's just my brother and my mother trying to derail the podcast. They don't want me to have a co-host. They just want me to be alone. But my gripes aside, this is this is the most attached to another Mad Max movie, and that's obviously Fury Road, by virtue of it being a prequel. And this is the most lore we've ever found out about the Wasteland, which is kind of my favorite thing about this movie, that we find out more lore. So the first thing is that this movie starts by alluding to a nuclear holocaust, which is the most we've ever found out about how this happened, right? Because even in Fury Road, there's just like the end of like some newsreels, and it's just like oh, they blow something up, and then that's it. We have no idea why. We don't know who did it. Yeah, all we know is that we don't even know if the first 3 Mad Maxes are connected to the current Fury Road, Furiosa kind of world. Like yeah. Anyway, so This movie expands the lore and expands the universe. Seeing the Bullet Farm and Gas Town and how huge they are made it seem like a bigger scale movie than Fury Road. Because, while I love Fury Road, it's mainly like they're at the Citadel, they drive to on the titular Fury Road. Um, to get to the place of the green place of many mothers, and then when they find out there's nothing there, they drive back to the Citadel. So it feels very small. It feels like there's a road and then there's a Citadel. That's it. But now seeing Gastown, seeing the Bullet Farm, it feels like a bigger world. It feels, uh, you know, more thought out, more like, you know, it's just more interesting. That's what I feel, right? Now, and I think this is clear, and I think, oh, sorry, I should have, fuck, I should have said that the big narrative coming out of this movie is that it's failing at the box office. And that kind of sucks because, like I said, I think it's better than June 2. But I think a big portion of that may be that people are upset that it's a feminist movie. That there's you know, a woman in the. Well, I guess technically she is the lead, but honestly, Chris Hemsworth felt like a bigger, at least a co-lead, if not the outright lead. He had so much more screen time and you know than Anya Taylor-Joy, which we'll speak about this just now, right? The green place of many mothers, which is very clearly, explicitly a feminist idea, right? Then again, following on from Fury Road, we see Charlie Fraser as an excellent warrior slash feminist warrior as the mother of Furiosa. I initially didn't recognize her, but reading reviews and such made me realize that she's actually the lady from um, uh, uh, fuck me, the Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney movie. It's like a Shakespeare kind of rough. Um, you know the movie, man. Fuck. I don't know why I'm struggling to do this, but anyway, um, you see, this is the issue when I'm alone. It's hard to keep my thoughts together. Let me just go back, right? So this is a feminist movie. There may be people who don't want to watch the movie because it's a feminist movie. The other point to that is I don't want to talk about the box office, right? I believe that if you leave this movie in theaters for a while, like a month or two, the good word of mouth is eventually gonna, you know, lead to more people coming in. I doubt that Warner Brothers or whoever is going to do that. I'm sure they want to try and make as much money as possible, and if it's not selling in theaters, they're going to send it to streaming immediately. But um, I just feel like, this is something that deserves the big screen experience, and I feel like the more that people hear about it and how good it is, and the fact that you can't get it you know once it gets on streaming, it gives like a high quality version for pirates to get, and for people to watch. So hopefully they keep it in theaters and don't get discouraged by the low initial box office, and you know you get what I'm saying. Just keep it in there and we'll see. I think it'll grow. I think, if I'm being very, very, very optimistic, I think this may hit like a couple 100 million. Like I can't remember now. It was less than 300, less than 100 million currently. So I think if you just let it go, it could reach like 200, 300, which is not Avengers level money, but this is a 18 age restriction movie made by like a director who is more of an auteur than like a big dumb summer blockbuster movie director. So yeah, sorry, the last thing I want to go back to is when I said I went to watch this movie with my brother. I also went with my friend who does shrooms, and because because Fury Road was such a visually stunning movie, he thought that Furiosa would similarly be a visually stunning movie, and it did not disappoint in that department. It definitely, you have a lot of people who are complaining about the um, the CGI and how much more CGI there in Furiosa than there is in Fury Road. I don't feel like that's all that big of an issue, you know. Yes. So even if they did use a little bit more CGI than Fury Road, I still adored this movie, and I thought it was still as visually stunning, if not slightly more, because we can see these bigger, like I said, it's bigger scale. So you see like these wide Australian vistas. You see like uh, that's mainly the thing, you know, when you see like how big and how like vast the wasteland is. I think those shots, it reminds you of like the epic movies of the past, like Lawrence of Arabia, which June is also trying to sort of um, emulate. It's been a very sandy year, I have to say. I was thinking about that as they were driving over the dunes, right? Anyway, back to the point I've been trying to make for fucking ages, but I keep getting distracted, right? Charlie Fraser from Anyone But You, I think, is the mother of Furiosa, and she's excellent, right? You really believe her as the badass feminist warrior, right? And I don't. The thing is, at no point did I believe. I believed her as a warrior. I didn't believe that she would save Furiosa, because obviously, this movie can't happen if they save Furiosa immediately, which well, she did save her, but she died because they couldn't get away. But yeah. Anyway, when she died, a lady, there was a couple in front of us, and the lady goes, "What happened to her?" And her boyfriend was like, "I don't know," which made me chuckle, right? The point is that whatever we can imagine is much more fucked up than anything that they can show us in that moment. So it's scarier to leave it to your imagination. Which there's another thing where um, Praetorian Jack's Warrig, which later becomes Furiosa's Warrig. There's a guy about to become like, it's not a parachute, but it's like a big piece of fabric, and he gets like rolled up into it, and he clearly dies, but we don't see it. I'm glad that the movie is content to not be like, oh, let me be over the top gory. Let me just leave some stuff to the imagination. Let's be a little bit more classy. I love that about this movie, right? Um, the young Furiosa looked eerily similar to Anya Taylor-Joy, and I just assumed that this was excellent casting. But it turned out that they used AI to composite Anya Taylor-Joy's face on top of the younger actress. So, uh, you know, because it was like about an hour into the movie, and I'm thinking, wow, Anya is not here at all yet. We're still dealing with like a kid Furiosa, and but this makes a lot more sense because, yeah, um, like I said earlier in this review, Chris Hemsworth has far more time on screen than Anya Taylor Joy. So yeah, it was a bit shocking. I wish they would have um, gotten to the main thing and gotten Anya in it quicker, because it's more like half the movie with her, half the movie with the younger kid. But nevertheless, um, I like the idea of like a walking Wikipedia man, because like it shows that Dementus is a lifelong learner. He he's not the type to go to university, get his degree, and then just be done with it. He's a very clearly a guy who wants to study further. He wants to know more. He wants to, you know, and having a walking Wikipedia, man, that's a big step into knowing things, right? If you have somebody who knows it, that can tell it to you. So yes, and it tells us, it shows us that the the nuclear holocaust or whatever happened hasn't happened that long ago, if there's still people who remember the before times. So there's that. um, I really like Dementus's costume changes. So initially he's dressed in white like Jesus. um, then his friends wear costumes like demons. So I don't know what that's. Is he like, like, God is not, I mean, fuck, a demon is not going to come to you and look like a demon, right? So Dementus is a demon, so he's going to come to you dressed like Jesus, to trick you, because that's what demons do. Demons and the devil, they trick you, right? So I think that's why he initially is dressed in white, while his other friends are just dressed as demons because they don't care about tricking. He's the only one who thinks about that, right? Later, they meet the war boy, and one of Dementus's friends shoots the red gun into the ground, which turns Dementus's beard and cape red. And I think this represents the idea of communism slash socialism. Let me explain, right? Soon after this happens, he gives a speech where he tells the Citadel, "Give up your masters and revolt." And he quite literally says, and I got out my notepad and pen to write this while I was watching. He says, "We will share the wealth," which is a very obviously a left-wing talking point, that we will, instead of having this incredibly unequal world where there's some people who go to bed starving every night, and there's people in the world who live on mountains of money. Perhaps there's some sort of middle ground where we can have most people living in a middle classish kind of life. That's just my opinion, man. Anyway, so yes, but Dementus is the villain of the movie. So I think the movie is saying that socialism slash communism is bad, right? Because again, Dementus is the villain. So anything that he's advocating for is bad, right? Immortan Joe, who I think represents the bourgeoisie, is not a good guy either, right? He's the one who's hoarding the wealth. He's and he's a villain in his own right? In fact, he's a bigger villain than Dementus. But the only person who's good, or not only, but the people who are good are feminists, right? Like Furiosa, like her mother, like her friend later in the movie, right? But I would like to say, while we're here, I love the scene where he's like, pick somebody. And then he picks, and he's like, no, not you, to the right. And then that guy, he goes and he says, witness me, and he jumps, and then he dies. And they're like, yeah, we've got however many million of them, and every one of them is willing to die for the Immortan. And then they start fucking Dementus and his crew up, and I was like, holy shit, this is mad, right? And yeah, but anyway, I love this quote when things clear up. He goes, when things go bonkers, you gotta adapt, right? And that's when Dementus and his crew, they go to Gastown, and their plan is to raid Gastown. right? And by the way, Gastown looks huge and menacing. Like I said, the scale of this movie is far bigger than Fury Road, and right. So Chris Hemsworth, or sorry, Dementus, he looks at Gastown and says, "This is our destiny," right? Um, if you're familiar with the idea of manifest destiny is this idea of like the Christian colonial settlers in America. They That's how they justified their outward expansion towards the West. They're like, well, if nobody stops us, then we're doing what God wants. And by, well, they found Native American people there and murdered them. And they're like, well, yeah, nobody stopped us. Well, yeah, people were trying to stop you, but you just murdered them. But nevertheless, it's a colonial um, like idea, right? Which is a right wing idea. So I don't know if that line, when things go bonkers, you have to adapt, is George Miller saying that Dementus has become a manifest destiny guy now, and he's thrown away socialism/communism, or is George Miller saying that in George Miller's mind does he think socialists and communists also believe in manifest destiny, which is not the case. It's a right wing idea, right? Um, and he says we're in the land of opportunity. So the land of opportunity is obviously a reference to America, and like I said, this manifest destiny idea is something that is explicitly about America and how they, went westwards. So I think George Miller is saying the second thing, that socialists believe in manifest destiny, which I have to disagree with, but it's what he's putting forward in his movie. I'm not sure. The idea of this podcast is for me to point out, um, the political ideas like this. Now the problem is I'm not very good at this. This movie is very obvious, which is why I can do this. But with most movies, I'm kind of a dipshit, right? But anyway, I don't know why I said that. I was yes, because it's difficult to read intent, right? I don't know what the intended idea from George Miller is. I have to kind of make that up on my own. That's what death of the author is, right? The author intended it a certain way, but it's not about how the author intended it. It's about how I, as the audience member, interpreted it. So all I can say is I think George Miller is saying blah blah blah. I have no idea what he's actually saying. Maybe we will share the wealth is just him not making reference to socialists or communism. It's just a line in a movie, and this is just me overthinking it. But anyway, there's a really funny scene where Dementus calls Immortan Joe pale and calls his son some genetic monstrosities, which made me fucking laugh. Like, Dementus all over this movie made me laugh, right? Then he says Furiosa is not for sale. She is his. That's what Dementus says, right? Which is anti-feminism. It's like thrown out throughout Fury Road, where Immortan Joe is like, these women are mine, or he'll say something like that, and the wives or the brides will be like, you don't own us, or something like that. So yes, socialism/communism is bad, manifest destiny bad, imperialism bad. The only thing that's good, feminism, right? Which I think it's hard to disagree with on its face if you've never heard about socialism/communism, and you realize that those ideas are very interlinked with feminism, right? Um, there's a time skip where she becomes a mechanic, And then there's the doomed love story with Tom Burke, who Tom Burke played Orson Welles in Mank, and every time I think of it, I go, Mank, damn it, Mank. I love doing the Orson Welles voice. Well, the Tom Burke as Orson Welles in Mank voice. I love doing that, and I didn't enjoy this love story. I thought it was too obvious. It's like, now is it obvious because I've watched the follow up to this in Fury Road, where I know Praetorian Jack doesn't exist, so he's definitely gonna die, or is it just because you know, just yeah, I think it's probably that that like you know that this is a doomed romance. There's no and the thing is, even if you know how something's going to end, that doesn't mean you can't do something interesting. I just thought the way that Praetorian Jack died was not that interesting. We don't really see it happening. We see Dementors capture them, and then it's kind of implied that he ties Praetorian Jack up to like the motorcycles, and they ride around and like pull him through the thing, but that doesn't have like a resonance, like if he maybe like sacrificed himself to save her, that would have been cool. Or or the other way around, maybe he tries to fuck her over and then she has to kill him, or there's many ways they could have done that, but I just think they took the most cliche route to do so. Yes. Then if we just go back early in the movie, the mother said, "Whatever you do, however long, promise me that you'll find your way home. Plant the seed, protect the green place. Give me this one gift." So I don't think that planting the seed in Dementus's ballsack, or whatever's implied at the end of the movie, is a good use of that seed. I thought it would be like something more like wholesome, but I think that's the more badass thing to do, to be like, to murder somebody and be like, well, not murder somebody, to capture the person who murdered your mother and do this. But I felt like her mother's dream was separate to Dementus. It should be like, and I understand at the end of the movie they tried to do something pure with it, so I understand that the idea was for something badass, but I would have hoped for something more more hopeful, more wholesome. I should say that, more wholesome. Yeah. I thought everything was explained very well, and that goes to the writing, right? I went to the toilet like 3 times and I still understood what was going on, as opposed to certain movies where the problem is I have to piss a lot. So, and it's hard to choose your moments, but yes, even though I piss so much, the I was still able to follow what was going on, and quite well. Yes, I thought like the dialogue was very interesting. So hats off to whoever the writer of this movie is. Like I said, they explained everything, but it's very like their turns of phrases are very funny. They're like, there's just stuff that you can only say, like it was better than Dune. That's the highest compliment I can give it. That the dialogue was just so funny. Yeah. In terms of acting, Chris Hemsworth stood out, right? And sometimes people confuse the most acting with the best acting, right? If somebody's doing a lot, they're like, oh, this is great. But that's not always the case, because sometimes I feel people go over the top. And I don't think that was the case this time. I think Chris Hemsworth did a very good job. I think I'm going to be thinking about this Dementus character for quite a while. Um, you know, like I said, not because he's a socialist slash communist, because like he's a bloody mad bloke, And I love that. Again, I keep saying I love that line. When things go bonkers, you gotta adapt. I'm gonna have to use that a lot in my life now, because that made me burst out into laughter. um, yeah. The next thing is, oh, sorry. Aside from Chris Hemsworth, his acting, I thought everyone else played their roles very well. Anya was good. Tom Burke was good. Everyone, there's nobody you could say like, oh, that's a bad performance. Everybody was good. It's just, even like I said, Charlie Fraser was excellent. It's just, the thing is, the person who pops the most is Chris Hemsworth, and I don't think I've never seen a big performance like this from him before. So, I'm a big fan of it. So yeah, and his abs were going crazy in this movie, dude. His abs and his biceps. Every time you got like a glimpse of it, I'm like, holy shit, this guy's ripped. He's motherfucking ripped. And yeah, then we get to the music, right? We have Junkie XL, who did the Fury Road and other big projects on the music, and I really like the music in this movie, the boom. But my favorite music of his is in Batman vs Superman, the boom 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 boom. That stuff. Sorry, I like Furiosa's music, but it doesn't hold a candle to that. Boom 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 boom. Yeah. Where am I? So, like I said, my friend who was on shrooms, he had a blast with the visuals, right? Especially the wide vistas of the Australian outback. And I said that before, but I think it bears repeating because of how powerful it was, right? And that's it. That's the end of the review. I There are some things that, like I said, in the days since, I've thought about it, and I'm like, that entire sequence on the bullet farm was a bit unnecessary. I think it's to show her as being a capable sniper, and that kind of thing. But it felt, that middle part, with Prater Jack, I didn't like. No, not that I didn't like. I didn't like it as much as the rest of the movie, I should say. Right. So let's get into recommendations, and I wanted to do like a 1A 1B, in this recommendation sections, where 1A is just kind of a vibe check, and 1B is our regular recommendations, right? So 1A, I just want to go through my top 5 movies of the year, just because we went past halfway around the year now, right? We're in June. So in 5th place, I have Monkey Man, which we did an episode on quite a while back. Please go listen if you haven't. I really enjoyed Monkey Man. It's a lot of people compare it to John Wick, but I disagree with that. He's like more like I guess like Rocky. The thing about Rocky is he's not the best boxer, but he can take the biggest beating and come stand up again. And that's the thing with Monkey Man. He'll take the biggest beating, but he'll come back every time. That's what makes him, powerful. Also, all his karate moves. That makes him powerful as well. But you know what I mean. Then we have Love Lies Bleeding, which again we did an episode on, and I absolutely adored this movie. It's about a doomed love story between a bodybuilder and a gym. She's not the owner of the gym, she just works at the gym. A gym worker, a bodybuilder and a gym worker, and they fall into love and into a life of crime. And yeah, it's a wonderful love story. Oh, sorry, Monkey Man, I give an 8 out of 10. Love Lies Bleeding, I give a 9 out of 10. Then in third place, I have Challengers, which the exciting tennis movie this year by Luca Guadagnino. This was our episode last week, and yes, I'm kind of shocked at how much I enjoyed it. I thought it would just be like a fun tennis movie where they did a threesome with Zendaya, but actually watching the movie was far different and far more enjoyable than I thought it would be. I also gave Challenges a 9, right? In second place, I have Dune 2, which what needs to be said, if not for Furiosa, the number one movie of the year. Yeah, I'm very, like I said, I didn't, after thinking about it, I didn't like Furiosa as much as I thought I did. So we still have 9 months until the Oscars. So the more time goes on, the more I may not like Furiosa. And there's the Oscar darlings that come out at the end of the year in December. So it's only for now, but Dune 2 and Furiosa are the only tens that I've watched this year. So yes, so far not a crazy year, just two tens, two nines, and an 8, and everything else is 7 or below. So yeah, it's good, but it's not outrageous. Yeah. So then 1B of this is recommendations, right? And so the first thing that I watched is Fury Road, which obviously the sequel to Furiosa, which a lot of the things that are brought up in Furiosa I totally forgot about that were in Fury Road, where Charlize Theron, she speaks about her mother. Everything that gets mentioned in Fury Road happens in Furiosa. And yes, just one of the best action movies ever made. Again, my second favorite movie of the 2010s. There's not much to say about Fury Road other than, I have the utmost praise for it. Then I watched The Acolyte, the first 2 episodes of the new Star Wars TV show, and it is interesting. There's a murder mystery at the heart of the show, and that can, vary wildly. It depends on how the investigation ends up and how interesting that investigation is, right? I'll come back to this, but for the moment I'm interested. It's like a 7 out of 10. I'm not popping out of my seat like I was with X-Men. I'm just I'm interested. Let's see how it goes. Let's see what happens. Then I have Blowout, which not linked to any blank check miniseries or anything. It's just a movie that I watched by Brian De Palma, and I love Brian De Palma. Scratch that. I love Alfred Hitchcock, and Brian De Palma is clearly trying to be Alfred Hitchcock. So almost by, I forget the word, but substitution, I'm automatically a Brian De Palma fan, because he's, his style of movie is what I vibe with. So yes, Blowout, incredible movie. it kind of not falls apart, but it's not as interesting in the final third once we find out who the killer is. I don't know if that's a spoiler or, but like once we see the face of the killer, we're just like, oh, okay, who gives a fuck about this now? And you know, that's about it. So yeah, thank you for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, give a like, etc. Importantly, it needs to be a 5-star review. You can find all our links at paicip.com. That's PAICIP.com. Please tell a friend, tell that friend, tell a friend, and tell a family member. And yeah, it's the first solo episode I've done in a long time, and I hope I don't have to do this again, because it's very difficult to just chat while trying to remember things and juggle things in your mind. Whereas if somebody else is talking, you can, do something while they're busy there. But yeah, thank you for listening. Goodbye.